Want to see how to display a multi-line chunk out of a JSON file with grep? Let me show you what we want to grab. So we'll go ahead and open up the JSON file. We'll go vi f8c. We'll open it up to the place that we want to review because it's a big file. And then the file name is JSON. You can see here we have a long JSON file. So here's what we want to grab. We want to grab this event ID down to the first closing curly brace. So let me show you how to do that. We'll get out of this. We'll clear our screen. We'll do grep-z, and we'll cover in a second here what the -z does. Then we'll go uppercase P for PCRE, regular expression matching. Then we'll give it the O option so we only see the pattern matches being returned. And then we'll do our regular expression. And we'll give it the JSON file. There it is. There's the event ID we wanted down to the first curly brace. Now, how did we just do that? Grep matching across multiple lines? Well, we did it by essentially turning the entire JSON file into one giant long line. Let's get into how that works. I'm John. I've spent 15 years in IT working with both the military and in the private sector with FANG level organizations. I've been a cybersecurity engineer, an analyst, and a sysadmin, and today I want to show you the nuts and bolts of how we can make grep match patterns across multiple lines. We won't get into the regular expressions I used because regular expressions are outside the scope of this video, but we will talk about how the -z option allows us to simultaneously match multiple lines with grep, and then I'll give you some more examples. But first, to understand what is happening, we'll have to go under the hood and look at how grep operates on files. There's a lot to this, but don't worry, we'll walk through it together and you'll feel comfortable with this knowledge in no time. Now, we touched on this lightly in another video, but we'll go deeper this time so you can really understand what is happening underneath the hood with grep. Please be aware this is going into computer science/engineering territory, meaning once you grasp this, you are bypassing at least 80% of your colleagues with your new level of understanding. When you open our states file we've been running grep against in past videos, you see these first 5 lines. In computer science and data processing terms, each line presented here is known as a record. You can think of the word line and the word record as 2 words for the same thing in this context. Now each line is a record and the computer needs a symbol to tell it where one record ends and another starts. This function is fulfilled by a symbol called a new line symbol, which is represented by a \n. Please note that the computer sees these new line boundary symbols, but we do not, which is why I have them in blue-green colors. This new line symbol is known as a record boundary indicator, indicating the boundary between where one record ends and another starts. Now each time the computer sees a \n, it understands that this symbol indicates the end of one record, aka the record's boundary. Now here's how grep operates by default. The grep command is typed. Grep opens the file indicated and reads the first line or record until it hits a boundary symbol, and then it prints a match if it finds it. Then grep reads the next line until it hits another boundary symbol, and then prints a match if it finds it again. This function keeps repeating until there are no more lines, aka records, inside the file. Okay, what does this mean? Well, it means I can't match a single pattern that crosses a line or record boundary indicator, which is typically that \n symbol we've been discussing. Consider the example text on screen. This means I can run one grep search with regular expressions to capture the contents of the lines after the number 3 on each line. Or I can run a different grep search with regular expressions to grab the contents of the lines before the number 3. But I cannot run a grep search with regex that will capture both what is after the number 3 on line 1 and what is before the number 3 on line 2 using the same search. This is because the records are split by the boundary symbol \n. Let's see this on the command line. First, we'll clear our screen. Let's cat out the file we're going to be looking at. You'll notice that this is the same text that you just saw on the slide. Now, if we want to capture what is after the number 3 on each line, we'll do this. Grep-p for PCRE regex matching. Give me only the match and not the rest of the line the match is found on. Then we'll do our regular expression. And then we'll type the name of the file. Now you can see here it matched what was after the number 3 on line 1 and what was after the number 3 on line 2. Now we'll go through capturing what is before the number 3 on each line. We'll clear our screen. We'll do the same grep search again, except we will move the digit from the front to the back. Now if we cat out the file, you can see this gave us what's before the number 3 on line 1 and what's before the number 3 on line 2. Now I will attempt to capture what is between the number 3 on line 1 and the number 3 on line 2, but this search will fail. Grep PCRE, show me only the match, not the entire line. Then we'll do our regular expression. Oh, I forgot the bracket. There's that bracket. We'll do the star, put in quotes, single quotes, and then the boundary file. See, and we get nothing back. So how do we get around this? Well, this is where the dash lowercase z comes in. The dash lowercase z tells grep, go ahead and ignore that \n boundary indicator. Your new record boundary indicator is a \0 or a null byte. But here's the funny part. There are no null bytes in a typical text file. So we're actually just tricking grep into reading the 2 lines as one, like this. Now grep sees the entire file as one big long line, meaning now we can search the entire thing one time and have the results sent to the screen one time. There are no more boundary indicators to deal with. So we'll clear our screen. We'll run that same search we did last time that gave us nothing, like this. And this time we will add the dash lowercase z option. And you can see there that it gave us what was after the number 3 on line 1 and what was before the number 3 on line 2. You can think of the dash lowercase z as a mnemonic for the word 0 in 0 byte, which is another word for a null byte or the \0 I showed you. But don't get the lowercase z confused with the uppercase z option. I covered the uppercase z option in Grep Bootcamp 30, and it only affects file names that are being output with grep. It has no effect on how grep reads the actual file like dash lowercase z does. Go watch Grep Bootcamp 30 for more information. If you know of someone else that would enjoy learning how to perform a multi-line search with grep, please share this video with them, and thanks for hanging out with me.